Good evening and welcome to this special primary election edition of 22 News. I'm Barry Krieger.
And I'm Tamara Zakarzik. The races for governor and U.S. Senate are now set for the November election, and we're still closely watching several races involving write-in candidates. Jeff
Deal has won the Republican primary in the U.S. Senate race. He will face Elizabeth Warren in November. Warren facing no opposition in the Democrat primary. There are also 3 independents on the ballot.
Jay Gonzalez has won the Democratic primary for Massachusetts governor. Gonzalez is a former Patrick administration official. He beat author and activist Bob Massey.
And Gonzalez will face Governor Charlie Baker in November. Baker easily defeating Springfield pastor Scott Lively in today's primary election on the Republican side. Baker is seeking a second term, being first elected in 2014.
Quentin Palfrey has been declared the winner of the Democratic primary for lieutenant governor. Palfrey is a former official in the Obama administration's Office of Science and Technology Policy. Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito doesn't have any opponents in the Republican primary.
James McMahon has won the Republican primary for Massachusetts Attorney General, beating Daniel Shores. McMahon will face Democrat Attorney General Maura Healey in the November election. Healey had no opposition in the Democratic primary.
In the race for Secretary of the Commonwealth, incumbent William Galvin has beaten back a challenge from Boston City Councilor Josh Zakum. Galvin's been Secretary of State for nearly 24 years now. The winner of the Democratic primary will face off against Republican Anthony Amore and Green Rainbow candidate Juan Sanchez in November.
And no surprise at all that in the 1st Congressional District, incumbent Congressman Richard Neal defeated his primary challenger, Springfield attorney Tahira Amatul-Wadood. Neal has been in Washington since 1989.
2 Republicans are vying to challenge 2nd District Congressman Jim McGovern of Worcester in November's election. Tracy Lavorne of Grafton is currently leading Kevin Powers for the GOP nomination. McGovern has no opponent from his own party.
And we are closely watching a close race for the Hampshire-Franklin-Worcester District Senate primary. The seat formerly held by Senate President Stanley Rosenberg, who resigned this past spring. Attorney Chelsea Klein was the only name on the ballot, but she is currently in 2nd place behind write-in candidate Joe Comerford. The 2 other write-in candidates in the Democratic nomination, there are no Republicans running in the general election.
Pittsfield State Senator Adam Hines appears to be on his way to a 2nd term in the legislature. He has an overwhelming lead over challenger Lee Selectman Thomas Wickham. There's no Republican candidate in the general election. The Berkshire, Hampshire, Franklin, and Hampden district is the largest in the state.
And West Springfield State Senator Jim Welch has declared himself the winner of the race for the Hampden District Senate seat. He defeated former Springfield City Councilor Ahmad Rivera. There is no Republican candidate in the general election, but independent Lorenzo Gaines announced a run earlier this year.
State Representative Jose Tosado has won the race to once again represent the 9th Hampden District. He beat Springfield resident Mark Kenyon in the Democratic primary. Independent Robert Underwood is planning to run in the general election.
2 Democrats are vying to represent the 1st Hampshire District for the seat vacated by the death of Peter Kokott. Kokott aide Diana Zinal of Hatfield is currently beating Lindsay Sabadosa of Northampton. There are no Republican candidates in the general.
3 candidates are running to replace Representative John Syback for the 2nd Hampshire District. The Democratic candidates include Daniel Carey, John Hine, and Marie McCourt. Right now, it looks like Carey has the lead. The winner of the primary will face off against South Hadley Republican Donald Peltier in the general election.
And in the race for the 3rd Hampshire District of the Massachusetts House, 2 Democrats running to replace Solomon Goldstein Rose, who became an independent and then decided not to run for re-election. The 2 Democrats are former Patrick administration Eric Nakajimi, who's in 2nd, and political activist Mindy Dum, who has a sizable lead. There are no Republican candidates.
In the race for the 1st Franklin District in the Massachusetts House, longtime Representative Stephen Kulik decided not to run for re-election. Franklin County Chamber of Commerce Director Natalie Blaze is currently leading that race. There are 8 candidates on the ballot for the Democratic primary. Andrew Baker, who's also on the ballot, has ended his campaign.
And the race for the 10th Hampden District of the Massachusetts House is a battle of write-in candidates. So they're having a little trouble counting all those write-in votes. Incumbent Representative Carlos Gonzalez did not make the ballot for this year's primary, but is running a write-in campaign, as is social worker Yvette Hernandez. We will give you these results just as soon as they come in.
Longtime Register of Deeds Donald Ashe died in July, but even before he'd passed, former state representative Cheryl Coakley Rivera had announced her candidacy for the Democratic nomination. Right now, she has a significant lead over the longtime Register's son, Donald Ashe Jr. The winner will face off against Republican Marie Angelides in the general election.